It's kind of weird thinking about it now, but 3 months ago, or almost 4 months ago, I did a video highlighting my friend Nimnim's channel, and I was talking about his, at the time, new series, Sealed Only Yu-Gi-Oh! This series just ended its season 1 a couple weeks ago with episode 14, but when I made that video, it only had uploaded 5 episodes, and I was trying to hype it up because I really thought it was going to be revolutionary, and I didn't want people to miss out on it, and I was proven correct, by the way, because, oh man, the videos just got better and better and better, and the deck that he was making got better as well, and it was just such a cool thing to follow along this journey with one of my best friends on YouTube, and just seeing him grow so much. And you guys, the audience, seem to love every single upload and be waiting on the edge of your seats for whenever the next installment was, and it was just so cool. It was a really fun, exciting journey to be a part of, and I can't wait for season 2. That being said, you guys might have noticed, especially over the past couple weeks here, especially since Gage sort of finished out season 1, that there has been a pretty big increase in sealed only videos and sealed only challenges and things along those lines, both on established and newer Yu-Gi-Oh channels. In today's video, I want to go through some of the channels that are trying this out. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's so many, especially all of the small channels, less than 1,000 subscriber channels. There's a lot of you guys that are really just starting out on YouTube, and the first thing you're doing is this sealed only challenge. And what's cool is that in most of these cases, I notice that people making the videos, they at least shout out Nimnim or give them a sort of a mention that this is why they're doing it, and that's really awesome. People aren't pretending like it's their idea, because it really isn't. Gage was the first one to do this, and I think people saw it, and because he encourages people to do so, a lot more people have started their own sealed only journey. One of the bigger channels that has started doing sealed only videos has been Team APS. They already have a couple of them up right now. What's happened so far is that they give a couple members of Team APS a budget to stick to, and they go to a particular store. They've done Walmart and they've done GameStop so far, and then they buy some sealed product. But I know in the first one they banned the buying of structure decks, so it really was a more random experience. And finally they duel against each other to see who drafted the better deck or who pulled the better cards out of their sealed products. Another bigger channel that recently tried adding this into their regular content was Team Samurai X1. So about a week ago, Sam went to Walmart and spent $600 on sealed products, and he bought all sorts of things to really make the most competitive sealed only deck possible with that $600. So he started with a Dark World structure deck core, that was like his main strategy, and he bought Dual Devastator and he bought other sealed products, and then he built the deck with all the cards that he had pulled, and then he played it on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, which is a little bit different from these other sealed only challenges, because usually the point here is that you're buying sealed product and then playing people in real life. I guess he just didn't have a locals to go to or locals that he could film at, so he just played on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, and I think that's fine overall. I mean, I saw some backlash in the comment section, but I think it's okay to do that. Everyone has their own sort of schedule and their own sort of things that they like doing or not doing, and as someone that doesn't really like going to locals very much, I can understand where Team Samurai was coming from. As for brand new channels that tried out sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh! As like their first couple of videos, we have Rev's cards, which I think is like by far the best one that I've seen so far as a sealed only challenge, sort of mimicking off of Gage's success, and he really does. I mean, in all of his videos, I remember watching his very first video, just sort of stumbled upon it. It's 3 minutes long and it's announcing his Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch series. He really does give a lot of credit to Gage, and even in his intro, he gives Gage a lot of credit there as well, so it's really cool to see someone else sort of taking that challenge. I will mention that series is really cool to check out because he actually has pulled way better than Gage ever did. He's even pulled a Phantasme, which is insane. Overall, I think that's one of the best sort of successors to Nimnim's original series, and I think he's done a fantastic job. And while not technically a sealed only series, I want to shout out Ruggles, a newer channel. He is a returning Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, and he's been doing a fantastic job with his videos. He's not buying sealed product, he's buying singles, but he is a returning Yu-Gi-Oh! Player, and it is framed very similarly to how Nimnim frames his videos. I think he's done a fantastic job. Probably the second best person if we're not counting just only sealed only challenges. He records himself buying the cards, he talks about his deck choices, he talks about going to locals, he films himself going to locals, and even though his channel has been doing fantastic already just with a couple uploads, I wanted to give him a shout out here because I just feel his stuff is so much better than a lot of the other newer channels out there. And that's not to say that all newer channels are doing a terrible job, but this guy is just really putting the time and effort into his videos, and it really goes to show when you watch them just how much polish they have. And now that we've talked about some of the channels that have been trying sealed only channels, obviously not covering all of them because there's so many right now, I wanted to talk about some of my criteria for what makes a good sealed only channel. And I'm doing this not to call anyone out or to knock anyone down or to make fun of anyone, but just because there's been so many newer channels that their first videos are these sealed only videos, videos, and I feel like in some of the cases they're really missing the mark, and that's fine, you know, it's all trial and error, but if I can sort of help you guys out, I wanted to, because I think that the sealed only video is a really cool trend that a lot of people are doing, and I think that people could maybe get some tips on how to improve their own content. Tip number one is that sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh, in my opinion, is more about the journey than anything else. When I watch someone like Nim Nim, it's so exciting seeing him start out with a structure deck and then seeing him get more and more cards to add to his collection that he can now add to his strategy. And what's really cool as well, because Nim Nim has been doing it for so long that he's been doing it in multiple formats, we can see it not just become more about like, okay, what cards do I pull, but sort of shift focus to, okay, I pulled so many cards, maybe I can change the main deck, maybe I can change the side deck or the extra deck, and that's really been awesome. If you remember, about halfway through the series, he made a pretty big shift in his main deck. He changed like over 20 cards, if I remember correctly, and that was really cool to see that he was finally able to do that. The reason that it makes sense for channels like Team APS or Team Samurai to only do these sealed only videos as like one random video or two random videos instead of an entire series is because they're not trying to sort of transition their entire channel into just these sealed only videos. But if you're a newer channel that's all you're trying to do, make sure that most of the videos you're uploading actually follow a journey of you getting more and more cards. If you're starting a new channel that is sort of trying to be a sealed only channel, it makes sense that most of your videos would be related to that challenge. And I talked about this a little bit in that video 3 months ago when I first started talking about sealed only videos that Gage was uploading, which at the time he was the only person uploading it. But I think that the really important part about sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh is that it really captures the element of being a child playing Yu-Gi-Oh. What I mean by that is that most children, at least when I was a kid, didn't have access to buying singles online, so the only time you actually got cards was from packs. So over the course of many months and maybe even years, you would sort of gain more and more cards to add to your collection and then make your deck a little bit better. To me at least, the big appeal of sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh is that exact same childhood journey, but just added to modern times and sort of making it into a video series. Tip number two is that sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh, beyond the journey part, I think it really comes down to how good you can edit the videos. And I'm saying this in terms of if you want to be successful as a channel that's doing sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh, I think that editing is one of the most important aspects. If you're someone that's never edited videos before, you're going to have a much harder time. And what I would challenge you to do then is that every single video you make that's adding to the series of sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh videos, I would say just try to do one new thing in your editing that you didn't do in the last installment. If you do that, which I think is a great idea, you're not only gaining better cards and better pack openings as you go along and make a better strategy, but you're also getting better at editing, which means that the final product will look a lot more polished. And to me, this is really what sets apart great channels from just good ones. So let's look at a Nim Nim clip, and this is from episode 12 called It's Spherical, which is when he pulls the Hieratic Seal, and this is a clip that is about 10 minutes through the video. So we're just going to watch it silently, or I guess I'm not going to be talking during it. We're going to watch it once that way, and then I'll explain why it's so polished and why you might not actually realize it is when you're initially watching it.
Interesting day at locals today.
So pretty simple, right? He just walks into a store. It's not the craziest thing. It's not his big eye-catching moment when the video first starts. Like I said, this is about halfway through the video, so this isn't like the first moment that people see. But when you really break it down, and I've already done this on a live stream, by the way, so if you saw that, you might have to listen to this a second time. Sorry about that. But when you really watch this scene a couple times, you realize that to do this one shot, he actually had to move his camera and walk into the store 3 different times. So the very first shot, the camera is on the ground when he's walking in, so that was one time that he had to walk in the store. And then the other shot is him holding the camera and opening the door, so that's another completely new shot. And then he had to walk in the store fully, set the camera up on a display, and then walk out of the store and then walk in again. And that's how you get the final shot before he starts talking. In other words, Gage spent more time on a clip that's like 10 seconds halfway through a 20-minute video than a lot of people put into their entire video. And I know that's not what everyone wants to do. You don't have to spend that much time editing, but this sort of Casey Neistat sort of style of editing, vlogs at least, really does work in a Yu-Gi-Oh sense, and it's one of the things that Gage is so much better at than almost any other Yu-Gi-Oh channel right now. And I'm not saying your videos have to be done in the exact same style, and your editing doesn't have to be as good as Gage's. I mean, most people out there, myself included, are not that great at editing. Gage is on a totally different level as far as Yu-Gi-Oh videos goes, but I just want you guys to try to push yourselves to be better editors so that your videos look better and better as time goes on, because people really do notice that stuff. Tip number 3, and the final tip, is that you should be doing sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh videos if you want to. You shouldn't be in it for the money. I know that sounds silly, but as Gage explained when he first started the series, it's not a budget series. It's actually a little bit more expensive, or a lot more expensive than just buying singles of the cards you want. However, a lot of people want to get into it, and I think that's perfectly fine, but if you're getting into it for the wrong reasons when you're just starting out, if you're trying to make a ton of money, you're just not going to find that money there. Even if you do become successful, it's really hard to make a living on YouTube, especially with Yu-Gi-Oh videos. A very select few of the bigger channels have actually managed to make it their full-time or part-time jobs, so it's going to take you a long time to get to that point if you ever do. So if you want to start a sealed only channel, which I highly encourage, make sure you're doing it because you want to do a sealed only challenge, not because you're trying to capitalize on a craze and make a bunch of money. That tip can pretty much apply to any YouTube channel, not just Yu-Gi-Oh content and not just sealed only content, but because sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh does require you to actually invest a lot up front, make sure you're actually doing it for the right reasons and not just because you're trying to capitalize on a popular search term. Anyway though, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about sealed only Yu-Gi-Oh for one video. I will link every single channel I have mentioned in today's video in the description below, so make sure to check that out if you're interested in checking out any of their channels. I'll see you later though. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Goodbye.